I feel blue. I feel something's off. Something that was supposed to happen today, but hasn't yet. Ooh, wait, I remember now. Fergus! You're supposed to review the Smurfs! What am I doing here? Refgus, why would you wait? Oh, wait, the Smurfs! Okay, Refgus, I'll get to it. Seriously, how can I not make that intro blue? Oh, and by the way, for some reason he was wearing the same shirt as me, but that's probably because he's a copycat and he uses Angus's copy machine. Angus and Refgus are my triplet brothers. We're triplets. Identical triplets with very different personalities. I'm just the normal one. Refgus is the prankster, and Angus is the genius. Can't believe I have to put up with them sometimes. Anyways, The Smurfs is a live-action animation hybrid comedy film, released in 2011 by Sony Pictures Animation. And I'm still going to wear a blue shirt for this review, but it's just going to be a Transformers shirt. But it's still blue though, so it still fits with the theme of the Smurfs. But for those of you who actually don't know about the Smurfs, they are a group of characters created by Peyo. They have been adapted to many forms of media and have become some of the most popular animated characters of all time. With that said, let's actually get into the movie. Anyways, the movie is about the following. During the annual Blue Moon Festival, the Smurfs get interrupted by Gargamel, who finally finds their village, after Clumsy leads them to it. But when Clumsy accidentally goes the wrong way from the actual exit, Papa Smurf, Smurfette, Grouchy, Gutsy, and Brainy follow him into a waterfall cave. Though when a blue moon shines on the waterfall, it creates a portal to the real world. But then when Gargamel almost captures them, Papa Smurf lets go of his stick and they all end up going in the vortex. And they end up getting thrown out one by one and enter our world. However, Azrael and Gargamel end up going in after them, and the blue moon doesn't shine in our world, which creates a huge problem for the Smurfs, meaning that they can't get back into the portal to get back to their world. But then when Clumsy accidentally falls into a box, the Smurfs have to chase after that box and get him back. However, Azrael was able to grab a bit of Smurfette's hair, and Gargamel tries to use it to create some Smurf essence. Or get it from the hair. Oops. But then they end up finding Clumsy in an apartment where they end up bumping into Patrick Winslow and his wife Grace, which Patrick just recently got a new promotion at his job. However, at first the Smurfs proved to be trouble for the couple. But after a while, they actually end up growing a bond, while Gargamel ends up creating his own laboratory in an abandoned castle. And now it's up to Patrick and Grace to help the Smurfs create the portal and make the moon blue before Gargamel captures them all. Now, a lot of people have been known to slam on this movie, and it does actually seem to follow the typical live-action animation hybrid thing nowadays, or at least that formula. But I'm sorry for all those people, but I'm gonna have to say that for me personally, The Smurfs is actually a great movie. The one thing that I may start off with is that the Smurfs don't purposely come to our world. In fact, they don't even start off in our world. They start off in a world similar to the original source material. You know, mushroom houses, Gargamel at a high hill. You know, if you're a Smurfs fan. But like I said, it's actually the Blue Moon portal that gets them into our world. And it was Papa who let go of Gargamel's stick so that they can go into the vortex and get away from his wrath. And yes, even though Patrick and Grace's first reaction to seeing the Smurfs was what you'd expect nowadays, and keyword being nowadays, they actually warm up to them because they're actually friendly creatures. And let's just address the elephant in the room, okay? Walking around New York City with animated characters was not a common thing back then. Yes, keep in mind, this was released in 2011, where the most popular live-action animation hybrid film at the time were the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. So live-action animation hybrids set in New York City weren't actually common at the time. Nowadays, it's basically the main basis for a hybrid movie, but back in 2011, it was actually a massive thing. And it's also nice to see a very distinctly 2011 setting, with stuff like Elmo popping around, billboards for Arthur Christmas and Community, and even the Blue Man Group on the taxi. You know, the advertising that were big things back in 2011. Yep, that was 11 years ago. Ironic. How it's 11 years ago and the movie was released in 2011. Another thing is that the movie is actually mainly focused on the Smurfs, and they're actually an important part of the plot and not just side characters tagging along. Yes, the human characters do actually have their own subplot, but it's the Smurfs who actually get more of a focus, and they actually are behind much of the ultimate goal. And even with the human characters subplot, it's the Smurfs who actually cause Patrick's goal to be achieved. And let me just address the designs real quickly. The Smurfs designs many people say are ugly or absolutely creepy. And to me, it's not really like that. They definitely look like more realistic versions of the original Peyo drawn characters. They stay true to the designs of the original source material, while still looking realistic enough to belong in our world, and not looking something like the original Sonic movie design. Or should I say the Sonic design, as I like to call it. And even though this movie was released during the 3D era, I mean, after all, this was still 2011, the 3D shots in this actually do look effective for 3D. There's so much stuff flying at the camera, but not to the point that it's so on the nose that it's annoying. If this movie would be watched in 3D, it actually wouldn't look bad. And the plot actually has a consistent goal that stretches throughout the entire story. The Smurfs have to get back home and make the moon blue so that the portal can appear and they can go back to their world. Yes, I know that's a little bit of a complicated, simple wording of it, but still. Oh, and might I also add, the movie is also very funny. There are some jokes that I just couldn't help but laugh at. Oh my god. If you experienced this movie when you were a kid like I did, and are around my age, you'll probably end up surprisingly enjoying most of the jokes. And with that, you might actually get a little bit nostalgia as well, I'd mention, like I do. But I know the one big compliment about this movie. Hank Azaria as Gargamel. And yep, I'd actually say that he's the precursor to Jim Carrey in the Sonic movies. He's amazing! I mean, he's believable and hilarious in every way. I don't care about Peyo's original intention. This will always be my Gargamel. In fact, I'd even say the rest of the cast did a good job on their part as well. In fact, they were pretty spectacular. And that feeling with Hank Azaria as Gargamel actually implements on me for the way Anton Yelchin is clumsy. Just a quick note so that it won't look weird. And the CGI actually doesn't look out of place at all. It actually looks very effective and quite believable, as a side note. But now what I really want to get into, the well done runtime. This movie runs at 1 hour and 31 minutes. Actually being 1 hour and a half more than the typical 80-minute runtime that many films usually do nowadays. I mean, come on. There are so many films that fall to that runtime. The Boy, Back to the Outback, what else is there? Luca, Despicable Me, Monsters, Inc., Toy Story 4, Turning Red. You get the point. The 80-minute runtime is just so generic. It's exhausting. And though the Smurfs did actually follow a bit of plot beats that it did before many movies nowadays, it actually didn't fall victim to the 80-minute runtime, which is something I applaud it for. And I think more movies should be like it, because 1 hour and a half is actually a very good runtime. You have enough time to develop the characters, say what their motive is, and what else? Oh yeah, and also run a very good pace if you actually want to tell a short/long kind of story. It's actually a very effective runtime, and it would help if more studios do that instead of falling victim to the 80-minute runtime. That would just be nice. In conclusion, The Smurfs is a movie that I'm very nostalgic for, and it actually still holds up to this day. For some people, some movies that they remember watching as a kid don't hold up for them as adults, usually. And even though this movie still gets a lot of flack nowadays, I am happy to report that The Smurfs still holds up. I know I might have already said that before, but you get the idea. That's how well done of a film it is. And I think it's a very underrated gem, if I'm being honest. If you haven't seen it and you are doubting it, then please come in with an open mind and just check it out for yourself, and keep in mind that this came out before the generic live-action animation hybrid formula was much use. And with that accomplishment, I am just going to have to say right now, gladly, that the Smurfs gets an A+. Now, I'm sorry that this review was a little bit rushed and the dialogue wasn't really as planned, but that's because I had to meet my deadline and I won't really be posting until Wednesday. And so I had to get this review done before the deadline. But anyways, I will say though that revisiting the Smurfs is actually pretty nostalgic for me, and I did have a good time with it. A really fun time. But anyways, now that I'm finally done with the Smurfs, it is now time that we go and move on to the recommendation hat. Oh, and by the way, if you guys would like to suggest me a movie that you would like me to review and I'll put into the recommendation hat, then all you would have to do, is just go write me an email at fagusreviews@gmail.com. Right, so, I got one, okay. And so, the next review shall be... I actually got it real quick, but... Okay, I think I got it. What is... Ah! Okay! Well, as you can tell, it took me a little bit quicker this time, and this is actually going to be the 5th episode of my reviews, and this is actually going to be pretty strong because this is going to be something that will really blow up my channel once this review comes out. Because I watched this movie like a month ago, but like I can still very remember it because even though this isn't really a great movie, it's the most popular thing on the internet right now. And it is a animated feature in the realms of Disney. And more specifically, it's one of their more recent films. I mean, I was expecting to be more bored at this movie, but hey, who could be bored by a simple Disney movie about a family with magical powers and their house?